Only 6 buses actually hit the road this morning. Even though this trip is just until Quezon Avenue, it is already a big help to Johari Kali, who works as a security guard in Manila. Before this, he had to walk from Commonwealth all the way to EDSA.
Kaysa naman lakarin, at least medyo nalapitan ka kahit paano.
But because physical distancing is required in all modes of transportation, buses can only carry half of their normal capacity. Passengers are constantly reminded to follow minimum health standards such as using face masks and using alcohol, especially that most buses have yet to set up cashless payment platforms. Commuters are likewise advised to be extra patient because there are buses who will refuse those whose body temperature reads above 37 degrees Celsius. But this rule irked several passengers.
Hindi ba nila naisip, naglakad kami, pinawisan kami, mainit yung nilakad namin. At least, i-consider nila yun kasi wala kaming mga sakit. Mainit lang talaga yung pinanggalingan namin. Sabi ko nga doon sa konduktor ba yan, mag-rest kami sandali, hindi daw pwede. Alis na sila. Ganun.
This route has a fixed 25 peso fare. Their presence on the road could have provided relief to some commuters, but for Glenn, they're not really as convenient.
Ang mahirap doon yung point to point lang. Meron silang designated na babaan. Kaso malayo din kung minsan. Kagaya ko, pupunta ako ng City Hall. Quezon Ave yung daanan. Di mapapalayo ako sa parang malayong lalakarin ko kung ganun.
The MMDA explains that their decision to allow 500 bus units to service the Angat-Quezon Avenue route doesn't mean they're blind to other areas where passengers were left stranded.
Tayo po ay kapapasok pa lang sa CCQ. Unti-unti pa lang po tayong gumagalaw, nagbubukas, no? So, maging ang mga public transportation po ay limited. Hindi po ibig sabihin na hindi naman natin i-address yung kulang sa ibang lugar.
Meanwhile, the LTFRB has allowed about 100 buses to ply the Dasmariñas Cavite Heritage Hotel Pasay route. For News 5, Gregorio, we are One News.
Senators called out the Transportation Department for what they considered poor planning and lack of foresight as Metro Manila shifts to GCQ. Senator Nancy Binay, for one, did not mince her words, challenging transportation officials to try commuting from their homes to their office at New Clark City. The lawmaker dared them to experience what it's like for ordinary people. She added that the DOTR's policy to ban traditional jeepneys is unrealistic, anti-commuter, and anti-worker. She explained that if jeepneys are not allowed to operate, around 250,000 Filipinos would be abandoned, with their children suffering the most. The Supreme Court thumbs down lawyer Larry Gadon's petition for prohibition and the issuance of a temporary restraining order in connection with a grant of provisional authority to operate in favor of ABS-CBN. The Supreme Court en banc said Gadon failed to comply with the requisites for judicial review and that he has no legal standing to file the petition. The SC also reminded Gadon that filing cases before the Supreme Court is a serious affair, and it should never be contemplated by one who admits not suffering any legal injury. Lastly, the SC said Gadon could have been more circumspect and that he will benefit from more restraint and a huge dose of humility. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte certified the anti-terrorism bill as urgent, as critics fear that this will infringe on human rights. Soon after, Senate President Tito Soto said the proposed law is now good as passed, noting that only terrorists or their supporters should be afraid of the measure. Talking to One News's Agenda, Bayan Muna Chairman and former Representative Nery Colmenares explained that some provisions of the bill are unconstitutional, including the proposed 14-day detention of suspected terrorists without a charge.
Meaning to say, they can detain you for 14 days. They will not incur any liability. So that is a violation of the Constitution. Why would you arrest me? Why will you not charge me in court? I mean, if I'm arrested, Sito, charge me in court. The continuation is, but he or she, the authority, the police, will inform the judge. But it's just inform. Oh, judge, by the way, we arrested this person. It's not a charge where you can submit your evidence to defend yourself. So that's basically the problem there. Illegally, as you mentioned, there is no jurisdiction. There is no case filed against him. So they don't even follow orders of a judge. How much more if the judge has no jurisdiction? It's very clear here.
Meanwhile, PBA Party List Representative Jericho Nograles defended the bill, saying there should be sufficient legislation to back the country's security forces. Talking to Agenda Cito Beltran, the congressman added that certain provisions in the anti-terror bill will benefit our economy, as these are in line with certain requirements from the UN and IMF. Nograles also noted that some criticisms on the measure are a little exaggerated.
There are these balancing provisions there. What I do notice, though, nowadays, is that the information that is being spread around about the bill is, how shall I put it, a little exaggerated, perhaps.
Okay. Why so?
I do understand the concern. The context of the presentation of the data there is a little wrong. So a lot of people are saying na, abusuhin ito dahil ECQ, abusuhin ito dahil ganyan. No. The terrorism problem is apples and oranges when it comes to ECQ and it comes to politics. This is a national security problem, and not just a national security problem. It is also a regional problem.
We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Stay with us on One News Now. Good afternoon, I'm Charles Lejano. You're still watching One News Now. New coronavirus infections in the country jumped on Tuesday. The Health Department reported 359 new cases, 176 of which were fresh, while 183 were late. So far, almost 19,000 people have been infected with SARS-CoV-2 in the Philippines. Meanwhile, 6 more persons lost the fight to the coronavirus. The death toll now stands at 966. The DOH also reported at least 80 new recoveries on Tuesday, and at least 4,000 patients have survived COVID-19 in the Philippines. The Health Department says they're only waiting for 4 more laboratories to submit a complete list of their pending test results. And after that, there's no longer any need to report late cases. To give us a more detailed explanation regarding this, we have Jen Calimon reporting live from Malabon. Good afternoon, Jen. Just to clarify what Yusek Vergeres said, how does the case validation process lead to late reporting of cases? Could you give us a quick rundown of this process?
Well, Charles, DOH Undersecretary Rosette Vera explains the process of the submission and validation of cases from the laboratories. First, the laboratory sends a full line list of positive patients to the Epidemiology Bureau. Second, the Epidemiology Bureau identifies and removes duplicate entries or errors in encoding. Third, the Epidemiology Bureau identifies new confirmed cases that have not been previously encoded in their system. And last, the Bureau will identify unique positive individuals per laboratory and will compare it to their system. There will be 2 kinds of tagging. First is tagged correctly as unique first case reported by laboratory, and second is tagged as having been first tested and reported in another laboratory. Charles.
All right, thanks for that, Jen. I understand that 38 out of the country's 42 operational labs have submitted complete case reports as of yesterday. Does this mean that the government is now close to eliminating its validation backlog?
Well, Charles, the DOH shared that 38 out of 42 operational laboratories have submitted their daily accomplishment. Well, this is a big improvement compared to 15 out of 42 laboratories last May 31st. And 38 out of 42 laboratories have also submitted their complete list, and they're still waiting for the compliance of the 4 remaining labs until this Thursday. Now that 38 laboratories have submitted their line list, the DOH discovered that majority of the 23,000 unique positive individuals are duplicates from other laboratories, so they still have to validate first the numbers given by these 38 laboratories, which could take some time. And after validation, DOH is confident that this number, the 23,000 unique positive individuals, would be close from their actual count. Charles.
Right, Jen, the DOH said that they would only have to report fresh cases once this backlog has been resolved. How would this now affect the DOH's case reporting?
Well, Charles, the department is hoping that all laboratories in the country would be able to submit all the information needed so they can provide more accurate numbers. If the DOH would be able to get all these details from all the laboratories, only fresh cases will be reported daily, which could give us a clearer picture of the COVID situation in the country. And this would also be used as a basis if the COVID response in the country is improving or working. Charles?
All right, Jen, one last thing. Could you kindly clarify the country's actual testing capacity at the moment, and how is this different from the so-called rated capacity of the country?
Well, Charles, the DOH explains that actual testing is different from rated capacity, actual testing capacity is different from rated capacity. First, rated or targeted capacity is theoretical capacity of a laboratory or tests that it can make if there will be no other factors or operational issues along the way. As of today, our rated capacity is 34,000 per day. However, Charles, some laboratories cannot reach this number because of some operational issues. On the other hand, actual testing capacity is based on daily testing capacity or daily testing output which laboratories can make. Right now, we have 8,000 to 9,000 actual daily capacity, which is a very big improvement compared to less than 1,000 before. The highest actual testing capacity was recorded last May 16, which reached 11,127 tests per day. Charles?
All right, thanks for that, Jen. That was Jen Calimon reporting live from Malabon. On to some good news. Private companies continue to lend a hand to reach out to those who have been severely affected by the quarantine. The PLDT Smart Foundation, together with the DSWD, distributed over 600 relief packs to stranded workers at UP Diliman. Also in attendance was beauty queen and volleyball star Michelle Gumabao, who spearheads the Your 200 Pesos Fund Drive.
We have the united aim, to help people who have been stranded and who are not earning anything during this period.
Dito talaga natin nakikita yung bayanihan ng bawat tao. And it's just, I feel happy whenever I see people receive something kasi nakikita mo talaga yung gratitude tsaka yung saya talaga nila.
Let's take a look at the global situation of the COVID-19 pandemic via this interactive map from Johns Hopkins University. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases around the world is inching closer to 6.3 million as of 4:30 this afternoon. We're at 6,284,065. More than 1.8 million of these came from the coronavirus hotspot. I'm referring to the United States, of course. This as mass protests continue across the North American nation against police brutality. Similar demonstrations against police crimes are also taking place in Brazil. And this is the country with the second highest number of COVID-19 cases at over 500,000. Other numbers include 423,186 for Russia, over 277,000 for the United Kingdom, nearly 240,000 for Spain and Italy, and almost 200,000 for India. The global death toll over to this side of the dashboard is now at 375,902. Again, the US accounts for the greatest number. So far, it is the only country that has suffered over 100,000 deaths, with 105,147 deaths. This is, of course, a far cry from COVID-19 deaths, the UK, the country with the second highest number of deaths at almost 40,000. That's 39,127. The other numbers include over 33,000 deaths for Italy, nearly 30,000 deaths for Brazil at 29,937, 28,836 deaths for France, and 27,127 for Spain. For more updates, be sure to follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.